Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. It's our last episode of 2024. And what do we usually do on the last episode of the year? Favorite albums of the year, right? So I've asked everybody to pick their favorite three releases from 2024, and they're each going to talk about them. We might have some honorable mentions as well. I won't be talking about mine tonight because my top 50 albums of the year episode is coming up just in a little bit, just in a couple of weeks before the holidays. So you got to wait till then to hear all mine, and but you can hear everybody else's. Let me introduce the crew. Steve Keeler's in the house. Rob Lasante's in the house. Nick Franco's here. Center Square is Count Ralphus Ralph Tambora. Karen La Preziosa's here. And Ryan Scow is here. We missed Ryan and Steve at SOT Fall Fest over this past weekend, but we're happy to see him here tonight. And we'll make sure that when we do the next one that they're both there. So just you all wait. We'll hopefully start planning that in the early new year. So all right, so let's get started here. So Mr. Keeler, who's basically has the exact same thing that I've been struggling with for the last week. It's a reason why he wasn't
Yeah,
up over the weekend. What are your three favorite picks for the year, Steve?
I would say that what I'm doing tonight is a little different than everybody else because I'm not going to give you my top three picks of the year because I'm going to be announcing them on the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel at the beginning of January. But I will, in no particular order, I can give you. It's tough to narrow it down to three, but I'm going to go. If I'm only allowed to do three, I got a bunch of honorable mentions, and this is going to change. But my first mention is going to be Opeth, the 14th studio album, The Last Will and Testament, which just came out a couple weeks back. It seems like it's fresh to everybody, and I think it's a very strong record by them. And Michael's got the growl back, and I would say I don't really have favorite tracks on this album because I just like to listen to this album in its full. But having
You mean you don't
uh,
have a favorite paragraph, Steve?
no favorite. It's kind of hard to go through when
I know
everything is just a
you can't pick
paragraph
anything out
too.
from it. I know you got to listen to
S
it all at
I,
the
I
same.
I mean S2 is really good. S4 is very good. But Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull's on the album. I think it's really cool. And it's a really strong album to come back from Opeth. Not that I've not liked the stuff they've done the last few years, but I think they're really back again. Oh, let's see. If I'm doing three, I'm going to go my number two. Not that it's even number two, but the second one I'm going to mention is from Finnish band Winter Sun, Time 2, which I've been listening to nonstop for the last few months since it's come out. Fields of Snow, Way of Fire, Storm, solid record. I don't know if it's as good as their last album, but it's definitely on my list of best albums for this year. And the final album I'll talk, but I do have some honorable mentions. Of course, it could actually even be my number one in a month. So I'm going with where is my notes? Where's my notes? The 13th studio album by Gothenburg, Sweden's Dark Tranquility, End Time Signals. I just saw this tour. I love this band and Shivers and Voids, Neuronal Fire, Not Nothing. Just another strong album by Dark Tranquility. So those are my top three of mentions so far that I'm allowed to, and I've probably got a handful, this much more on my honorable mentions that are all viable to be number one in January. So tune into the Rock Fantasy Files. I want the whole month of December to decipher, which I always do. I'd like to sit and listen to these albums during the holidays and the long hours at Rock Fantasy and just so it's a little early for me because I haven't really put my mind to what is my number one. So it's probably four or five different ones could be number one this year for me. Pete, I think you're muted.
It's on
You're
mute.
muted.
Sorry. It's tough because there's a lot of good stuff that comes out like in November and December.
There is.
I'm staring at probably a stack of 30 CDs that have come out this year that I still haven't listened to
Wow.
viewed for this year. And I guarantee you, probably 10 or 15 of those I'm going to want to try and squeeze into my list somewhere. So it's maddening. So I totally
See,
get
so you're not completely ready.
No, I'm really not, but that's
Yeah,
my list is mostly put together, but
yeah,
I'm thinking there's going to be something in here that's going to knock my socks off, and I'm going to be like at the last minute, because I gotta for our webzine, I have to get everybody, all the writers have to get their list to ends by the 15th, and that's like right around the corner. So
sure.
I got
Next
a lot
week,
of
yeah.
listening to do the next couple of days. So all right, Rob, let's move over to you.
Oh, okay. My first my first one is going to be The Eternal Skinwalker. So this is one that you recommended, and I have to say I really cannot stop listening to this album. It's gothic, doom, progressive, kind of like Paradise Lost, Opeth, Catatonia kind of sounding. I had actually reviewed this on a review crew, so I'm not gonna really get too crazy with it. Uh, you guys know Amorphous fans. Tommy's doing all the death growls on this album, so
Wow.
which is
I got to listen to that.
phenomenal. Well,
And
I don't know how do you say his name, Nick? Jean or Jean, the
Uh,
drummer.
the
It's his
Jan
band.
Rechtberger, Jan Rechtberger.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
his band. He's the drummer for this band, and they're actually from I don't know. The band originated in Australia, but anyway, this album is a great album. I love it. I never get tired of it. Kind of Class is a great song. The opening track, abandoned by Hope, is great. Real dark, dingy, but it's got some melodic, passages and stuff to it too. Um, that's my first for this year. You know, I really struggle with these top three. So this one is another one that Pete got me into. Ancients, Beyond the Reach of the Sun. This album destroys.
That album kills.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Pete, when you first, reviewed it, I said, I'll give it a try. Another album I can't stop listening to. Every song on here is great. Some are better than others. Canadian band. This is their third album. This was released in August. Prog metal, big, big, big riffs, great death growls, very big influence Opeth and bands like that. I think there's not one bad song on here. And maybe the closing song, but it's a beautiful passage and it's got a little piano in it and acoustic closing. But I mean, there's some Canadenses, Canadensens, very proggy, heavy instrumental song. I love that song. This is a really good. If you're into like Opeth and that kind of death melodic, this is your album. Because to me, it's one of the best albums of the year.
Yeah,
I
all
mean,
three of their
yes,
albums are great. I would say that's probably my favorite of the three. Yeah, if you're into like Blackwater Park era Opeth or
yep,
like Between the Buried and Me, and you could probably name a whole bunch of other bands. Just really good technical, proggy, brutal death metal. It's melodic. It's brutal. It's really really well done. Really good album.
got it all. And these musicians are great. I mean, I was really surprised when I listened to them. I was like, how good could this be? They're really good. So if anybody out there that's looking for a band like Opeth, this is the band.
It's a great
Speak,
cover too. That
speaking of,
that
yeah,
album cover.
speaking of, so this is my number one of the year. I was waiting for this album from the day I heard that it was coming out. So I didn't even care if it was Death Grouse at the first, but then when I heard that, I was like, oh, this has got to be a must, and like Steve said, I can't really pick any particular songs, passages, maybe four. I mean, Ian Anderson's on 4 and 7, I think, those paragraphs, but the whole album is great from start to finish. Um, what can I say? I mean, they haven't done Death Growl since what was it? Watershed,
Watershed.
right? Yeah, 2008. So it really did bring back the the balls, if you want to call it that,
yep.
of Opeth, and it's it's an Opeth album. I could still hear some of the newer things that they've done,
Still
but
just as proggy as the last five albums.
right, yeah, exactly. It's still proggy, but I mean, it's definitely got balls, this album, compared to the last few albums they've done. So that's my number one album of the year, believe it or not. I know people are saying, "What? No Judas Priest?" More to come.
You know what I love? It's already been mentioned a couple times. I'm sure we'll hear it again. This is like the only channel on YouTube where you get a bunch of people on talking about dark and dingy music with these huge smiles on their faces. Gotta love it.
How it should
We
be.
love dark and dingy here
How
on
it should
Hudson
be.
Valley Squares.
Dirtier the better. It's
Yeah.
gotta be filthy.
Bring on the sleaze.
That's right. That's right.
We didn't even get to the fuzzy ones too, Karen.
The fuzzy,
What's
fuzzy,
happening?
dark, and dingy. Right? That's right. What do you got, Nick?
All right. Yeah, I just realized I talked about one of these on the review crew, so I'll keep that one as an honorable. It was the British band High Parasite with the guy from My Dying Bride, Aaron. That's a damn good one. All right, so we're gonna jump right into probably my most difficult to get across band because that's what I do. But we're gonna start it off with a German pagan black metal band called Horn that Mr. Ryan Scow got me into about 4.5 years ago.
Oh, stop.
Oh, stop. Horn is the project. Well, it's a band when he plays live, but it's one guy, Nicholas, and he's from Germany. This dude is pretty awesome. He has had this band Horn since 2002. This is their 10th studio album by my count. Came out on May 3rd on Northern Silence Productions, and this is the type of pagan metal that I like. It's way more about guitar melodies, riffs, and what happened?
We
Oh.
lost Rob.
Ralph
We lost
died.
Rob. The
Lost
German,
Ralph.
not Rob, Ralph.
Ralph.
Um,
Rolf.
yeah, anyway, this one I recommend. It's hot. It's way more melodic than people are probably thinking. Most of the lyrics are in German, but it doesn't matter. It's got a very robust sing-along kind of thing, but not in like the happy-go-lucky way. It's way more respectful to old German mythology and history and local history in Germany. And it's super, super great riffs all day, chugging pace, kind of like not too, it's not like, I wouldn't even call it black metal really. It's from that world, I guess, but way more accessible than that. And they always impress me, and they're keeping it going. Beautiful, beautiful music. And then I'm going into I don't have the physical copy, unfortunately, because this year was crazy. And it just came out on November 8th, but surprisingly, it is going to be the Icelandic band Solstafir. I actually have not really been into a Solstafir album in a long time. They are, I mean, the journalists call them post-metal, whatever the hell that is. But they had like
can't
sort of
do
black
that.
metal roots, but this Solstafir album, which translates to the Holy Agony, it's Hin Helga Kvol, but nobody's going to remember that. It translates to the Holy Agony. This came out November 8th. It's their 8th studio album. They've been around since 1995 on Century Media Records now. So Solstafir is this album really moved me a lot. It's got, I swear there's a song on there that just sounds like the mid-pace part of Angel of Death. Like it's got that Slayer quality, but then it reaches into these proggy territories. I think the last song on it is like got a saxophone, and it's just like real like psychedelic and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a real chuggy heavy metal album that can be enjoyed by people who like any genre of metal. I think you'll appreciate it. The vocals, while the lyrics are in Icelandic, this dude's vocal lines, like you want to learn the language so you could sing along. It's like got enough catchy rhythms and stuff like that, but it's got that otherness quality to it that frankly I was very surprised because I've kind of petered off my interest in them over the years. But I highly, highly, highly recommend Solstafir, this album. Man, it's just fucking good. It's just fucking good. And then that leads me to my number one is going to be a band we know and love, and that's going to be Deceased.
Yay.
Yeah, Children of the Morgue.
Great pick.
Yeah, I mean, this
Yes.
guy's been around since 1985, and by my count, it's only their 8th original studio album. Like they've done a lot of covers albums and stuff, but if their creative original studio albums, it's number 8. And these guys are just one of the hardest working bands in metal, and I think most people are familiar with them that listen to our channel. If not, check them out. They're from right there in Virginia. They're just regular dudes. King Fowley, he's probably, I mean, if he's not the most metal guy on earth, he's top 5, top 3. If you like riffs, if you like unbelievable guitar leads, super creative, it's like a song structure of like speed metal, with some death metal vocals and stuff like that. But I mean, Jesus Christ, it's super melodic, but it's fast. It's like, I mean, I don't know anybody out there that everybody knows them, but I don't think they get enough respect. I personally don't. I don't understand how they're not 10 times bigger. But probably because they have a very underground.
Yeah, they're very DIY on purpose, which is
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But
Yes.
the
respect that.
quality, dude, this quality of heavy metal, it's just ridiculous, man. They can write long songs and make it work with this type of energy. To write a 8, 9 minute song is a challenge, and they rise to it. So there's a lot of good, amazing shit out there, but I'm gonna go with Deceased as my number one. Children of the Morgue.
I want to piggyback on when you said they can add like
Piggyback.
detail. Piggyback. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to piggyback. They really are really good with like horror movie atmosphere too.
Mm.
Deceased. I mean, they are masters of it. Like they write obviously a lot about like old horror movies and old horror stories and stuff, and they really capture that feeling. Like Hammer horror, Edgar Allan Poe, all of it.
Mhm.
They do it very very well. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's an awesome album.
yeah, and I don't even think like I have a hard time explaining like there's not many bands that are doing it this way, like with that attitude that we loved when we were discovering albums when we were kids, and it just seemed like they don't, it doesn't matter what trend is going on. The first Deceased album I ever got was like in like the mid 90s when everything was turning fucking weird. And here's this band. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are like they just don't give a shit what trends is going on. They're just
They just get it. Yeah, they just do what
and
they
they're
want.
always
And
amazing live.
they were kind of always out of place because of that. Like they were still straddling that line between thrash and death metal,
Mhm.
and they were doing it, and they stuck to their guns and kept doing it,
Mhm.
and they've remained like original doing it the whole time. There's not, like you said, there's not many bands that are doing that. They either go all out one way or the other, and they're one of those bands that are straddling it. And then there's even some new wave of British heavy metal kind of parts in there, super
Mhm.
melodic parts, and really memorable. What an amazing album.
Yeah, it's true metal, and they are getting better with age. Like Jesus Christ, I love them.
Like I know
And
the main guy. I mean, I don't know if he plays drums so much anymore, but the vocalist King Fowley. The one, if I don't know if it's his favorite band, but like top two or three is Iron Maiden, and you can definitely hear the Maiden influence
Yes,
big time in the riffs.
and Voivod.
I was gonna say,
Voivod
right? What's
is
the other
probably
one?
the other one.
Voivod.
Huge Voivod fan. Yeah, I think he's seen Voivod like 60 times or something. But you can hear that influence in there, though. You can hear that Maiden old Voivod. Yeah, they're just fucking great. They've
Yep,
been
he
great
lives.
for like literally decades now.
Yeah, he lives and dies for metal, and there's so many bigger bands out there, and yeah, I get it, but dude, if you want the real fucking deal, you listen to Deceased.
Yeah, yeah. This I would. I'll concur with that. I was gonna put him as an honorable mention, but I'll just talk about him now because you brought him up.
Awesome. That's it.
Pete, you're muted again.
I'm muting because I've been coughing all the time. I don't want everybody to just hear me cough. Ralph, over to you.
All right, so my number three, I'm gonna go with the new Nile. It's The Underworld Awaits Us All. It's the 10th studio album, technical death metal, blistering, unforgiving brutality, just fucking so intense the whole way through every song. My favorite song on the album is called Chapter, for not being hung upside down on a stake in the underworld and made to eat feces by four apes. That's the great
That happened to me
song
once
on
in the
there.
80s. Oof.
Of course it did.
George Calias is is an absolute beast on drums. There's some cool female guest vocals throughout to give it some flavor. Uh, so many great songs. It's hard to pick songs off of these because it's like there's one of those bands that you got to listen to a lot of because it's so dense. Like we were talking about the Desert Island picks the other day at the SOT Fall Fest, and this is one of those albums that you could really it take a long time to absorb it all because there's so much going on, so much technicality. But these guys are just always amazing. One of those bands you just go out and buy whatever they're putting out because you know it's going to be great and it definitely is one of the best albums of the year for me. Number two, I'm going to go with Deceased. And you guys just were talking about how great it is. King Fowley lives and bleeds metal. One of the great bands out there that's been consistent and doing it for so long and never jumping on the trends or whatever. Just a great, great band. I'm not even going to keep going on them because you guys just hit it really good. And then my number one, I'm gonna go through my notes because I got my Dio notebook. I don't know if you guys can see this. Oh, this is a Ronnie James Dio notebook, but I reviewed this on the review crew, this album. So I'll just go back to those. I was starting to take notes and I was like, oh wait, I already have notes on this. But yeah, so this is a Malignancy Discontinued. It's brutal technical death metal. The album cover by Tony Cosgrove, 33 minutes long, frantic insanity for 33 minutes. Again, going through the songs, it's just like every song is just insane. Uh, this was the vocals were recorded in Mike Yusufer's Oral Assault Studios. Danny Nelson recorded them in Mike Yusufer, so that's cool. Hudson Valley connection. Um, Ron Kashnik is just one of the most crazy, insane guitar players. He got amazing stage presence, ton of pinch harmonics on here. It gets really crazy. It's almost like too much, but they keep it in control, and it's so over the top, and they push it to the limits. Mike Heller is one of the great sickest drummers out there. He played on two Fear Factory albums. He's been on a bunch of the Malignancy albums, two albums, but with Raven he actually played on, and Abigail Williams he played an album, a whole bunch of other bands. The guy's a really amazing drummer. Yeah, they're just such a cool band. I'm friends with the singer Danny Nelson. He's a sick fucking vocalist, great front man. Live, they're like real fun band. You think it's so serious and technical and brutal, but then you see them live and they're like hilarious and they're real fun live. I've seen them a bunch of times and they're always amazing. And definitely the album I listen to the most, and it's like Denial, where it's a dense album. You got to listen to it a lot because there's so much going on. But I just left it in my car. I only pulled it out for when I did the review crew episode on it, and then I pulled it out again today just to have it for the episode. But it's pretty much been in my car since it came out, and it's the one
Ralph, I
definitely.
remember one of the most recent times I saw them was at that show in Chester at Rushing Duck, and there just
Yeah.
happened to be like there was like three or four guys in the audience that just happened to have flannel shirts on, just happened to work. And the singer Danny's like, "All right, everybody stop moshing. I want to see just the flannel guys moshing." And the whole night he's just cracking. He's like one of the funniest frontmen in metal. Might be the funniest. You're right.
Yeah, there's a few of those bands out there that are like that. They're like these vicious, brutal bands, but then you see them live. Like Sickness would kind of have a little bit, or Skinless. I mean,
Skinless, yeah,
they
yeah,
had that kind of an Origin. I remember them being like funny for such a insane music that they're doing. But then you see them live, and it's not all about being serious and stuff. They don't make the brooding photo band pictures and stuff like that. They're just fun people that love this brutal music, and I definitely identify with that.
You
So
know who's like that, Ralph, is Enslaved, the Norwegian band. Yeah,
really,
Grudel, their singer who looks like a giant Viking. He practically does stand up.
I
And
seen
it's
them.
so
I seen them
awkward
early
in
on, but
Norwegian. Yeah.
I seen them early on, and I thought they were kind of more serious, I
Oh,
think, back then. But I
yeah.
did meet him right before he went on, and I got a picture with him, and he was really cool. But he seemed. I didn't see him later on where they were probably a lot more fun. But that's
Yeah.
cool because their music doesn't. You wouldn't think what they do today that their
Yeah,
music would be like that.
they're fun guys in real. Every time I see Malignancy, I end up cracking up half the set
Yeah.
because Danny Salt, that's a funny motherfucker. He
Oh
really is.
yeah.
That's cool.
All right. Karen.
I know. All right. My number three is, I think you know this record, Temple of the Fuzz Witch. Woo! Nice Black and Doom. It's a little different for me, and I really like it. I like the way he switches clean vocals to those black metal vocals. It has, the guitar picking that's black metal's known for. It's in there, and it fits in perfect. Call to Pray is my favorite. It's again with the doom riffs and fuzz with the black metal vocals are just so good. It's all fuzz.
That bass is dirty and grimy, and
I was just gonna say that. It's all fuzz, all riffs, with the dirtiest freaking bass. And I got to say, I saw them not too long ago and they were even better live. So if you ever get a chance, this record is called Apotheosis.
Yep.
It's really good cover. I like it a lot. Yeah, the name is a little hokey. Temple of the Fuzz Witch is what we'd expect from a doom band, but it's really great. It's interesting and it's mid tempo, dirty, rhyming, greasy bass. It's just so filthy.
Yeah.
And yeah, great songs, one after the other.
That
My
was on
second
list, too.
one,
There you go.
What was that?
Right as well.
my second one is Goat, self-titled Goat. Go ahead. You got another goat band?
No, that's it. I just wanted to say that. Just one goat. That's all
Self-titled.
we
I
got.
forget how many albums this band has out there from Sweden. They look like some pagan gods from Sweden. They get dressed up in masks and costumes. They are a lot of world beat, and but this album has not just that world beat to it. It has like some 70s, guitar sound, a little bit of fuzz, gets funky, it gets tribal, it gets hip hop beats. There's a lot of hip hop beats in there, and I really like it. There's a few instrumentals with like birds chirping and acoustic guitar playing, and then at the end there's some weird spoken word about spirituality. But I mean, that's it all kind of blends together, and it ends on a real funky note with a really cool hip hop beat. It's not rap, it's hip hop. And it's got those beats are just so fun. And that's only in a few songs, but this band is so talented and they cover so much ground. And I really like it a lot. So Goat is number 2. And I guess anyone who knows me should not be surprised. My number 1. High on Fire, Cometh the Storm. High on Fire was getting a little stale there for a while. I guess, they can join the ranks of the bands who start to sound the same. And I don't think Electric Messiah did them any favors. I mean, it was a good record, but I didn't really listen to it much. But this one I really like a lot, and it's just relentless. It's just one gut punch after the other, and just bam, bam, and one riff, another riff. And Cody Willis is such a great asset to this band. He just doesn't stop. He's just hammering force. It's just so great. I think Matt Pike's vocals sound really good on this record. I mean, there's attempts at clean singing, but as good for him, as good as he could do. But I think it's really great. I think he sounds like he's really into it. He's emotional, and it sounds like he's having fun.
Production is ferocious.
Yes,
Fucking heavy as
exactly.
shit.
It's excellent.
It is
Five
really
and a half year, 5.5 years since the last album too.
Wow.
So it was very highly anticipated album.
Yep.
But I missed that the original drummer wasn't there. But I think the guy does a great job on the new album. But that drummer that played on everything else, one of the co-founding members,
It was a beast.
was such an important part of the band, I thought. And on certain songs, it almost sounds like he's still there. But then others, that's the only thing that I had a tiny bit of, but it almost made my top 3.
I tell you what, Ralph, if you get the opportunity, you see High on Fire with Cody Willis, and he's amazing. He was in the Melvins. I mean, the guy kicks ass. I mean, he's a great asset to the band.
I just that drummer though, it was one of the I seen him with the other drummer and the original guy, and he was such a standout part of the band. It's one of the things that I really loved with High on Fire. With the
What was that guy's
riff,
name? Des
everything.
Kenzel, I think. Was that his name?
Yeah, Des Kenzel.
It was like a fucking caveman. The way he like took the tom drums and mutilated them. It was really great.
Pummeling, and even when the riffs were like slow, he was just always working so hard. I think this guy plays more with the riffs kind of than that guy did, and the new guy. But
It's
it's
different.
still great, But he's definitely missed for me, missed a little because he was just such an amazing part of the band.
I think you're wrong. I think this guy kicks ass. I've seen him with both drummers. I've seen this guy with the Melvins. I've seen him with Big
Yeah, so
Business.
you're saying
I just
this
don't think
drumming is
you.
better than every other High on Fire album?
I think this guy's different, but not that much different, and he's just as good. And if you saw High on Fire with him, I think you
I
would
do want to see
know
him
what I'm talking about.
I would definitely see him
I do
again.
want to see
Yeah,
him with the new guy.
Oh yeah.
and I love the album. I'd almost made my top three. That's why I had notes on it.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, Ryan.
All right. Let's start off. Let's go to where we're going here. Let's travel around. Oh, we're gonna go to Canada first.
Nickelback.
No, fuck off.
Oh,
Not
oh,
not Celine Dion either, or not Brian Adams. Fuck off three
And
times.
Anvil.
that's better.
That's better, but still no.
And,
Fuck
and
off.
they did put out a new album
They
this
do. I
year.
haven't heard it yet. I haven't actually heard an Anvil album in a month of Sundays. But anyways, we're gonna go up to right outside Montreal. There used to be a doom band from Montreal that I loved called Koshmar, who are on hiatus now. And the main individuals in that band, my friend Annick and her husband Francois, started a new band called Tonnerre. And the album, which
Saw
I'll say
that.
in English because I don't speak French, translates, well, you can see the title right there in French, but it translates to The Wild Night. So what does this sound like? So Koshmar was much more of a doomy band like Sabbath, Pagan Altar, Witchfinder General. These guys are way more AC/DC, very Blue Oyster Cult, uh, Rocky Erickson. It's like a very 70s groovy, kind of very bluesy sound. It's just really good, awesome rock and roll. Lyrics and vocals are still in for everything's still in French, just like Koshmar. Nick still sings in French. And it's actually a concept album too. I had to translate all the lyrics to go along with it, but it's each song tells the story of a night of a party out in the woods, and each song tells a part of the party as it goes through the night. You know, it starts off different things happening. We'll say some substances are probably ingested. A lot of things happen. Some things are seen. So it's just like this wild party happening out in the woods. And the story is kind of like takes the arc of like from dusk to dawn, like over the events of the party. Very cool. You know, kind of a unique idea. I can't recall any other band using a theme like that for a concept album. But yeah, if you like 70s AC/DC, because as soon as the album started, I heard that drum beat on the first song. I'm like, that's motherfucking Phil Rudd. Had that same like just fucking rock solid 4/4 drum beat. Then a lot of the songs, like, oh man, it's kind of like almost like a Blue Oyster Cult thing, which obviously I love. Yeah, just like a mishmash of like cool 70s influences going on here. Not so much doomy as their old band, but yeah, really, really cool rock album. There was actually some really cool bands this year that put out like, old school kind of rock albums. And of all those, I thought this is probably the best. So this was my number three. My number two, we're going to stay in Canada. That's East Coast Canada. We're going to go over to West Coast Canada. We're going to go to Vancouver, the rainy parts of Canada. Uh, and we're going to go with a band that I thought should get a lot more attention within death metal and thrash metal, but they didn't. But fuck it. That's why I'm here. The band is Reversed. The album is called Wildly Possessed. And I thought this artwork was cool as shit. Hold that up there. Here's the back art too. So what does this sound like? This is it's like my favorite thing in the world. It's old school death metal mixed with thrash metal. Uh, Now I'm not a fan of the band Ghost, but before Ghost existed, Tobias Forge was in a band called Repugnant, who were good. And this does, if any reminds me of anybody, it kind of reminds me of his old band Repugnant. There's a little bit of death metal, like sadistic intent, like 80s, like old Morbid Angel, previous to Altars of Madness, like the really first demo era Morbid Angel. Maybe a little bit of the Swedish band Niflheim. So it's that kind of stuff, right? Really good vocals. It is nice when you have a band that plays metal like this, where you can understand the vocals and almost sing along. Because a lot of these bands, even though I like them, you'd have really no idea what the fucking the guy's saying, right?
Yeah.
This is an exception. Like you can understand everything he says, which is cool. I kind of like that. But he's got a really great evil voice. The production is just like thick. The bass is fucking loud and clanky, which I love. I hate when bands like this bury the bass underneath everything else, so you can hear the bass loud as shit. Uh, Ever since I got into Voivod years ago, I've always appreciated when more extreme bands really put the bass up in the mix, throw a lot of distortion on it, make it fucking filthy and like loud and powerful.
Preach.
What's up? Oh yeah, they do that, and it's actually one of the. I hate to say it, to me, it's one of the shittiest things about a lot of black metal and a lot of death metal is the fucking bass guitar is buried, or if you can hear the guy, he's really not doing anything interesting, just kind of following along the root note, just basically giving the song bottom end. So to hear a bass guitarist really like, add a lot of like color and nuance is kind of cool. So if you like stuff like Hell Awaits, if you like old school metal, if you like old death metal, like old Morbid Angel, Sadistic Intent, early Autopsy, anything like that, Repugnant, Niflheim, check this album out. This is fucking good.
It sure is. Very good album.
And my number one album. All right. Well, I'm gonna do two things here. I'm gonna pull what I'm gonna call Ultra Catino. I'll get to that in a second. My favorite album of the year is an album that when January 1st, 2024, first day of the year, right? I already knew that this album was going to be the album of the year. I already knew that. And at that time, it was still being recorded. It wasn't even out yet. They weren't even done with the studio. I'm like, when this finally comes out, this is gonna fucking smoke everything 1,000 times over. It finally came out in I think around October timeframe, and it did. It is hands down my favorite album of the year. I went to see them back in September. I flew over to so actually no, it came out in September. My mistake. They're from London, so I flew over to London. I watched the album release show. It was fucking great. Uh, Drank a lot of beer, probably a little too much beer, but that's okay. I'm still alive, still here. So who's the band? The band is Adorior, and the album is called "Bleed on My Teeth." And the artwork's pretty greasy, so I'll hold that up. You can see that. Some things happen in there. Thankfully, there's a little glare, a little reflection.
Yeah, it's
So
hard to see it.
nothing bad will happen. Uh, yeah. So what does this sound like? So of all the stuff I like to talk about, me, Nick, Ralph, like that kind of crazy underground metal. Uh, it's rare that something actually comes out that actually hits you with the same violence as like Pleasure to Kill, Hell Awaits, Seven Churches, Darkness Descends. Like nobody can really do that to me. Nobody really hits like that anymore, with one exception, these guys. So if you like that kind of stuff, it's their first album since 2005, so it's been 19 fucking years for this band.
Wow.
And to be honest, they weren't active for a while, right? They weren't active in gigging for that 19 years, and then finally decided to get their shit together. No, they took a couple of years break, came back, regrouped, got a couple new members, new guitarists, new bass player, same vocalist, same drummer. Start to put together this album. Yeah. So what does it sound like? It sounds like the albums I just mentioned. If you know the Canadian band Infernal Majesty, None Shall Defy, sounds like that. The Brazilian band Sarcophago, ANRI. If any of this is striking a, like, oh, I like that band. Check this out. Uh, right off the bat, the first song just comes in with this fucking dive bomb. Just explodes out of the fucking speakers. I love it. It's like a million miles an hour right out of the gate. It's got crazy fucking whammy dive bomb solos, full speed blasting, total intensity thrash, great lyrics, great vocals, just this fucking awesome atmosphere, intensity. Greg Chandler from the English band Esoteric did the production on it. It has this really thick, powerful production, which a lot of these kind of bands, maybe it's a little murky, a little lo-fi. Not this. The sound is big, full, clear, powerful. Drums are like just fucking hammers smashing down. Sounds like $1,000,000. I won't even pick songs because to me, every song on this is great. And the songwriting is really good too. This is not a case where it's like, bands that play this fast and this intense. It's like 8 songs of the same shit. Every song is distinct. Really, a lot of flavor, a lot of character, slow parts, fast parts, thrash riffs, death metal parts, black metal parts. They mix it all together very, very well. So this is hands down my number one album of the year. I've been waiting for it for years. I thought they would never get together and record a new album. And they're like, third album's on the way. I'm like, fucking finally. Really, really good. And I'm gonna pull up Ultra Catino because there's only one other album this year that I thought was probably as good as that one. But the thing is, it's not coming out till next year, so it's kind of a
Oh,
bullshit
I know what
call.
you're talking about.
But it's another London band, good friends of mine. I happen to have a copy. I think I'm probably the only person in the whole North American continent with a copy, but I don't give a fuck. The band's Necromaniac, and this is their oh shit,
I don't know what you're talking
glare.
about.
Necromaniac. This is their debut album. It comes out next month on Invictus Productions, but I wanted to talk about it because it's fucking great. The album title is Silemancy, Malediction, and Rites Abominable. And all the things I said about Adorior kind of apply to this, but it's a little more uh, murky and evil. So if you like the Italian band Mortuary Drape that I talk around a lot, like old Mayhem, like old Celtic Frost, like that kind of evil, morbid vibe, the band calls themselves Morbid Metal. Uh, Check that out. But yeah, you can hear. I think you can actually hear a song online right now. But I just wanted to throw that in there. I figured I was pulling an Ultra Catino by mentioning it out.
Now you can't talk about it again next year when it's
Yeah,
the end
coming
of the
next year.
year.
That's why I wanted to throw it in at the
You
end because
can't
technically,
you
You're
can't do it
banned.
2023 and then do it again next year though. Now
I'll
it's off
mention
your
it
list
again. You
next
know what?
year.
That's so
Nope,
far from now.
nope. You
Everybody will
just
forget.
ruined it.
No one will
You only get
remember
it
anyway.
one
No one
year
will
at a
remember it
time.
so far. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I will
remind you
remember.
if it comes up again next
you
year. I
were
will remind you.
yeah.
Ryan,
So
I
in
thought
the
you were
back
going
of
to say
it,
century.
morbid. It says right there, morbid metal to the death. So yeah, if you like all the same shit I was talking about for Reverse for Adorier, check this out when it comes out. You can order it now. You can. That's
So
why.
wait, so this album is not out in 2024.
All right, here comes Steve the lawyer.
It's a 2025
To
album.
clarify, this is a
Yes.
I
2025.
knew that
Yes,
was
Steve.
coming.
Oh,
It comes.
Ralph already threw. Ralph
That's why
already.
I
Yeah.
said it's an Ultra Catino. It's Catino
Objection
times two.
sustained.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he can't say it again next year. If he's going to
And
use
Rich
it for
didn't disappoint that
2024,
Paul
then
Fest.
you can't do
I'm
it
saying
again.
no one's going to remember, so I'm going to talk about it for next
I'm
year.
writing it down right now, and I will
Yeah,
remember.
can it be number one for you next year and this year?
Take a minute.
That
Well,
would
I'll
be
tell
a
you what.
first. That would be a first.
I like this album so much, it probably is going to be my favorite album next year too. But I'm like,
Hey.
can't
So
really.
there's the
3 years in a
prediction.
row.
So we have to remember next year at this time.
I wrote it down.
I'll
I wrote
know
it down.
trying-
He's a rebel. He can do what he wants.
It's a free society, man.
Right,
I'm trying
man.
to
He
think
can-
what else
he
comes
can
out
like
next
it
year.
now,
Not
and he
this.
can like it later. If you don't like it, too freaking bad.
I bet.
I'm
I bet this
picking
will be
out.
my
I'm
favorite
picking the
album.
next Merciful Fate for my number one.
Well,
Didn't
that's
come
so,
out yet.
yeah.
I don't know if it's coming out next
That's it.
year, but
See,
26,
Oh.
26. I'm picking.
there's a couple albums I already know are coming out next year that I'm really looking forward to, but I don't know. I think this is going to be number one. I'll
Well,
say
I think
here.
Amorphous is doing one next year. So
Wait a minute, Nick. Do you
Probably
have Do you have the new Amorphous there already, so you can pick it as number one?
No, I don't have.
Okay.
I don't have that kind of amorphous privileges.
You know what? The fact that he actually has the CD now, though, I guess he did
That's
get
pretty
it. In
cool.
I do have a
2024,
copy.
so-
I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
so-
it's not bullshit. It's
yeah,
the real
you
thing,
did
know?
get it in 2024. But I
Those
didn't
It's in
think
my
it-
hands. I'm holding it. You know, I can touch it. I could feel it. It's like a
Real.
real thing. You know,
It's
It's
a real-
tangible.
it's tangible. I can like.
It's AI. He's using AI.
This is not an
It's
AI
AI.
image. This is a real compact disc. Yeah.
It's,
So I just
was-
wanted to throw. That's why I said Ultra Catino because I'm putting out something that doesn't even come out yet. Like you can't own one, but you can order it. So, anyways, there you go.
Does Rich Catino never really pull stuff like this? Is that what we're talking about?
That's why it's an
time.
Ultra Catino.
Oh, okay.
We're going into the realms beyond.
By the way, and Rob brought it up. So the other day at Fall Fest during the Hudson Valley Squares, Rich Catino pulled 2 Catinos during his
He
one set.
did.
Double Catino.
He
Almost
pulled the double
went for the
Catino,
Catino.
He
yeah.
was the only one. He didn't
Double
follow the
down.
rule.
He got called out in front of
He called
everybody.
out on both of them. It's like, you know.
It wouldn't be a Catino if you don't get called out for it. That's
He
how
had the
But even the
professorial.
fans knew it.
He
Yeah,
had
you
the
got, that's part of doing it. You're like, wait a second, call him bullshit.
You're breaking the rules.
Breaking the rules.
professorial. He
Well,
had
I
the
definitely just broke the rules right there because it doesn't even fucking exist yet. So
Let's all break. Let's break more. I've already broken rules too. I didn't give I didn't give my
yeah,
number
Steve,
one out.
calm down.
Come
I'm
on.
gonna give you my
Nick,
top
what were you
three,
saying?
but it's not my top three. It's actually like 12, 9, and 6. Settle down.
Pull
Who, me?
up
Yeah,
pull
Nick,
up
what were you
Pete
saying?
Pardo and have like a bunch of ties. I got 13 ties.
Yeah, 13
So I've
times.
decided, originally I said I wasn't going to pick any music tonight, but I lied because
Uh-oh.
I can't not talk about music during an episode here. So what I decided to do is pick a couple of albums that didn't quite make my top 50, and pick like 3, 4 that are like highlights of the ones that didn't quite make my list. This only just came out like a couple weeks ago, so it's so new it couldn't make my list. But I think there's a bunch of folks here who would probably love this. The band is from Baltimore, Maryland. They're called Magic Potion. I
Okay.
swear to God, if you look at it,
It looks like
you look at
70s.
them, it looks like this is like some long lost band from 1970. It's exactly what they sound like. If you take like Blue Cheer's first album, Sabbath's first album, maybe The Doors' first album, and throw in a little early Budgie. That's what this
Wow.
is.
Oh, you got
I'd
my
be interested.
attention.
Dark and
Yeah.
heavy and psychedelic and bluesy, and the production sounds like it came from like 1970.
Is it on
What's
Bandcamp?
the name of that?
On Bandcamp. The band is called Magic Potion, but magic is spelled with a CK at the end. And
That's
it's
really
on
nice.
Riding Easy Records, and the CD is only $10. I highly
Oh,
recommend.
Riding Easy. I know that level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
This is really, really good stuff. Heavy and groovy and weird and just awesome. Really good. Another one, also from the US, from Ohio. New wave of traditional heavy metal band called Iron Flame. The album is called Kingdom Torn Asunder. If you like classic Priest and maybe the first couple Manowar albums, maybe a little early Virgin Steel, this will be right up your alley. Killer guitars, great vocals, just fist pumping, classic sounding metal anthems. Awesome stuff. They are on High
Did they
Roller
make
Records.
did they make that for me?
Yes.
How do I not know
Just
this?
for you, nobody else.
To
Iron
Nick
Flame?
Franco, check me out,
For you.
please.
I'm
Yeah,
writing
we're
it down.
talking
Says
about
it
it.
right on the
You know
back.
that guy, Nick Franco? I
He's
like
a
him.
good
Let's
guy.
make an
He's a
album.
Gavone, that Nick Franco.
He's
This
a
album's for
Gavone.
him.
Nice.
Nick, I'll
If we
send you
put iron,
the.
if we put iron in the front of the name, Nick Franco will buy it.
And
We'll-
Like that's a
Flame
guarantee. That's a surefire sale.
Warriors.
Yes. Let's see. Also from the US, these guys I think are from Delaware. High Reaper, renewed by
Oh
Death.
yeah.
Look at that
Mhm.
cover, man. Evil. Got the scimitar of death and this giant snake. Awesome stuff. Classic metal doom and a little bit of stoner. Kick-ass heavy stuff. Awesome, awesome band.
They are high, all right.
And last but not least for me, from Greece. I really like this band a lot, and this is another great album from them. Acid Mammoth.
I knew you were gonna say that when you said
Super,
from Greece.
get this title of this. Supersonic Megafauna Collision. It's heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. Like just like the namesake of the band, like a mammoth. It's like these gigantic woolly mammoths trudging across the landscape, just destroying everything in its path. It's doom. It's heavy psych. It's just heavy as all fuck and just so cool. So
Nick,
yeah,
can you say that name like Christopher Walken, that band name, or that
Come
title?
on, Nick.
That album?
Acid Mammoth.
No, the album title. You gotta say the album title.
Megafauna colliding. The elephants are mammoths, but they're dead, but they're extinct.
Yeah, you had me rolling on Saturday. Oh man.
All right, let's rip through some honorable mentions real quick. Steve, back to you.
These are kind of like honorable mentions, but they could be my number one. Judas Priest, Invincible Shield. I think it's a. I mean, I
Could
love
be.
Firepower. This was a great one to follow it up. Panic Attack, Serpent and the King, Invincible Shield, Crown of Horns. It was. I saw the tour twice. It was killer. No one's gonna have this. Infected Rain Time. Obi from my channel. Obi got me into Infected Rain. Frank, who works for me, and I've been played this a ton in the store. Dying Light, Never to Return, Lighthouse, some very strong tracks. They're from Moldavian and fronted by Lena Scissorhands. So that is Infected Rain, Scout's favorite band on earth. One of my most listened to albums this year is Wake Up the Wicked by Germany's Powerwolf.
Fuck them.
If Scout hates them, it must be good.
It's actually not true.
I thought you were going to say Sabaton, but
Fuck
wait a
them
minute.
too.
Abaton does not have an album out this
Maybe
year.
next year.
Fuck.
Another band for Greece, Firewind, with Stand United with Gus
Gus
G.
G.
That's a
baby.
good one. That's a good one.
And there's a ton more, but I don't want to take up all your time. Portnagar with Fall from Norway,
Great album. Yep.
That was another good album. That's on my top 20.
and Zephyrium with Winter Storm, Hammerfall, Avenge the Fallen, Swallow the Sun, Shining, and Tribulation, Sub Rosa.
That's
Yes.
his number one.
Who's his number one?
Yours.
Oh, not Tribulation's not my number one.
You
I
just
don't think.
spoiled it. It's not his number one.
Deep Purple -1,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and Sonata Arctica, Clear Cold Beyond.
Mm.
My number one will be in Divulge in January.
Divulged.
Divulge announced
Devoured.
with our Rock Fantasy Files crew, and it's been an honor to be on the Hudson Valley Squares tonight with everybody.
Cool.
Sorry I didn't make the party over the weekend. Sounds like it was a lot of fun.
It's like, we'll do it again. We'll do it again. We'll drag
We'll
it.
have another
We'll
one.
drag it
We've
out for
had a
next
couple
episode.
bigger and better next time.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, Rob, what do you got? You got any left?
Yep. I'll go real quick. I'm just going to do same as Karen, Temple of the Fuzz, which I love this album. I think it's
Me
great.
too.
Everything she said, ditto. I actually like this album, Kerry King's new album this year, his first solo album. I thought it was great.
Mark kicks ass on it.
Very Slayer sounding, obviously, but it's a great album. I
You
think I
know, crazy
reviewed it.
thing that came out and like nobody's talking about it. It's like
I was
all of a
probably the
sudden,
only one on the channel talking about it.
just nobody talking about it. It's like when they released the first single, everybody was talking about it, and then it's just like it came out, and then it just like people moved on.
Yeah, because then Slayer announced that they were doing shows like a week later after
Yeah.
the album came out.
I
Yeah.
think the most unique thing about that album is that Mark from Death Angels is just on fire on this record.
Yeah. I mean, he's
I
incredible on this album.
I think that's the thing that holds it back in a weird way. Even though it sounds great, he just sounds too much like Tom Araya on the album. It's like
Well,
it's almost like he tried to just do a Slayer copy, kind of, you know. And I noticed him doing singing like that on earlier Death Angel albums, and I said, "Oh yeah, he sounds a lot like Tom Araya when he wants." But it's just kind of weird that Kerry King finally goes solo, and then he picks a singer that sounds like a lot like Tom. You know,
Yeah.
I still thought it was pretty good album.
one of his Bay Area buddies.
The
Yeah.
next one is Evergrey.
Good choice. Yeah.
You know how much I love Evergrey, and I love Tom's vocals. Plus, I'm on the album, so how can I not? You know, I did part of the, I got credit on this album, which was
Did
probably,
you? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
very nice.
That was pretty cool. And then, of course, Judas Priest. I can't, how can I not have Judas Priest on my top of
Great
my
album.
list? So, I mean, this album for me, it was a great album. There's a couple of throwaways on it, but all in all, right out of the gate, the first three songs, I mean, they blew me away. They really did. So, definitely a great album. Those are my some of my honorable mentions.
Cool. Nick, you got any left?
Yeah. Yeah, the Priest album, without a doubt. Panic Attack and the title track are two of the best Priest songs I've heard in decades. The Finnish black metal band Horna,
No.
their new album Nyx, Hymnea Yola. See, I say the words.
You try, I appreciate that. I didn't even
Yeah.
attempt with French. So
It's
fuck
really
it.
good. It's like a little Shadowlong punk discharge-ish. It's good.
I think it's good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, very good, very good. What have I not mentioned? Oh, this one I just got into recently because the album came out on October 25th and I hadn't heard of them before. But there's a band called Butcher from Belgium. Butcher with two umlauts over the U.
Oh, Umlauts. Oh yeah, they're good. It's like a speed metal band.
They speed metal, hellish speed metal, hellish evil speed metal, I would even say.
I'll drink that.
On Foul of Tyrant Wing is the album on Osmos. And that's their third album. They've been around since 2002. If you like a little new wave of British heavy metal with some evil Slayer-ish influences inside of it,
I like.
fucking good business. And then there's a whole bunch of other real obscure shit that I won't mention. Also a Dorier.
Ralph.
I'm shocked that neither Nick or Rob picked this one as an honorable.
It's on my 20, but
It's
not my
good,
one
but
of
I
my
didn't
albums.
consider it like a top whatever,
Yeah.
But it is good.
Yeah,
It's
it
very
didn't.
good.
And I'm surprised Rob didn't have this or really anybody.
I
The
saw
new
my top
Saxon.
two. Yeah. You know what it was? They came out so early in the year. That was like the first, right? It was January that came
It was
out.
fairly
Yeah,
early.
that was a really early one.
Yeah.
The new Deicide, I think it's a solid album. It's been
Yeah.
a long lot of years in between from the last one. Mausoleum, really brutal death metal, in the vein of Autopsy. Rob
Wow.
Yench from the Hudson Valley from Morpheus Descends. This is his other band. Got a bunch of great albums. Aboard It, another great album. I did a review on this on the review crew, and this live winter album, it recorded a few years back, but it was released this year. Really awesome. This Ghoul EP, another great unique band. And one last one is Russell Gentile from Florida came out to the SLT Fest, and Pete gave him this as a prize for like getting up and talking or something at the fest. It's a UK subs, and it's actually got the same name. It's the Last Will and Testament of the UK subs. That's the Opeth
Pogo
title.
saw that.
That's And so anyway, he was walking around with it the whole time, and I kept going, "Oh man, I want to get that album." It's a DVD, and it's one of the last shows like they're retiring this year. This band's been around since 1976. They put
Yeah.
out their first album in '79, and I hardly ever hear like punk, new punk stuff that I really like. And it's a band that's like this where it's all old stuff, but there's a lot of stuff on here that is 30 years old that I. It's one of those bands that Martin actually picked on your show this week, where you picked a thing of bands that you would delve into their catalog when you retire, because they got so many albums, and these guys got so many friggin' albums. I got a few of the early ones, but this was just such a great thing. So I want to thank Russell Gentile. Came all the way up from Florida for the SLT Fest, and he seen that I wanted this, and he gave it to me. So awesome! Thank you, Russell. I listened to it today and checked out I actually watched the live DVD part of it today, and it was awesome. Thank you.
Great
That's
talking
it.
to you, Russell.
Cool.
Yeah, we all like talking to you, Russ.
Yeah, cool
Yeah, Russell, you're awesome.
dude. One of our longest running fans of the channel. I mean, he's been around
Yes.
for ages.
Great to meet
Karen, you got any
Russell.
left?
Ufomamat, their new album I liked a lot. Jesus Lizard was pretty good. I can't really think of too much off the top of my head right now. I wasn't really doing any additional ones, just that.
That UFO Mammoth is really good. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites by them, I think. It's really
It
good.
is. It really is good. And Jesus Lizard is pretty good. I mean, it wasn't it's not a great album, but it was a lot better than what I was expecting from them, being that they were
I think
gone so long.
my grandmother used to say that. Ufo Mamut. Stuff like that.
They
Fun
are
name to
so
say.
good.
That's a fun name. Nikki,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Ufa Mamut.
Brian, you got
Minuto.
any
What's that
honorables?
noise coming out of your room, Nick?
Yeah, yeah, I got
Cut that UFO Mammoth down
Cut
already.
that-
Baby
and Nikki,
Jesus
don't
is
make
a
me come up
crying
there.
over here.
Hey, what's with the
Oh,
We're trying to watch the TV. Oh, for
You're making the baby Jesus a cry with this music.
And they're not Italian at all. And they're not Italian. I mean, they're not from fucking Secaucus. But anyways, yeah, I got four. Well, first, I forgot to show it because I'm a fucking silly person. Not only did I buy the Adoria on CD, but I also bought it, or I bought it on CD. And for reasons unknown to everybody, I bought it on tape too. But now I have three copies of the same album. So Priscilla was here. I think you get a little flutter in his heart. Yeah, I got a couple from Switzerland. I know Pete, you and you got to do the new traditional heavy metal show occasionally.
Yep.
So this was one of the best ones I heard all year. The band is I can't say this fucking word. I'm such a fuck amethyst. I always fuck that word up.
Amethyst.
Amethyst?
The album's called Throw Down the Gauntlet.
Mm.
It's if you just like classic new wave of British heavy metal, like old Angel Witch, Satan, old Saxon, like any of that early like 80 to 83 sound, with great songs, good riffs, good vocals, a lot of energy. This album kicks ass. This was on No Remorse Records from Greece, but you know it shows up in distros and stuff. It's not too hard to get. But yeah, any of those bands like Iron Flame, like if you like anything in that sound, Old Priest, anything like that, like early Priest, like pre Screaming for Vengeance. This is an awesome album, and the artwork's kind of cool too. There's the band standing there, and there's the dude in the suit of armor. That's definitely cool as shit.
There's so many great bands doing that style of music now, man.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, there's a lot great, but it's rare that I hear one that's like holy shit good, like 10 out of 10. There are a few, and that to me was probably the best one of the year. I really like that. I'm gonna go to a Norway because I don't think we talked about Norway enough this show. Sorry, Nick.
Okay.
A band called I love this artwork. Aberration. That's easy to read, right? Anybody can read that fucking logo right there. That's
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy to pick
Yeah,
up.
I got that.
No, the artwork's really cool. This is called Demon Latry is the album title. It's on Invictus Productions. This is just classic old school full speed death metal. And I'm talking full speed ahead, but like old school death metal, but done really good. Great riffs, great vocals, super fucking fast drums, but not like real clicky and precise. It's kind of fast and loose. I guess Old Morbid Angel would be a good comparison, but again, like old Slayer, like that kind of stuff. Early or mid 80s Creator, almost a little of that too. Really cool.
Invictus,
200
just
BPM.
as a word, as an aside, Rye.
Yeah.
Invictus Productions from Ireland is one of the best, most vibrant underground labels going
Great label.
today.
Good friend of mine too. Great guy.
Great guy, phenomenal, hardworking, old school, awesome.
Good person. And he's had a couple beers with him when I was in London. I'll get to that in a second. But back in June, Nicholas and myself drove up to the sunny town of Albany, New York, to see a concert from a band that I found totally randomly on Bandcamp like about a year and a half ago. A little different than what I'm talking about here.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It's a little country, but you know what? It's also got enough rockabilly and surf rock to warrant inclusion. And that is a band's called Jenny Don't and the Spurs. And this is like old school rockabilly, old school like Dick Dale surf rock, and like a good helping of like kind of like old honky tonk country. Just a lot of fucking fun. We saw them up at this tiny little place in Albany, and they just kicked fucking ass. Nick, how good was that show? There you go, right
It
there.
was awesome. Took my
It was-
daughter. She loved it.
Yeah, Nick brought his daughter. Everybody loved it. The band was so cool. Yeah, a little different, but you know, it is primarily country, but there's enough rockabilly and surf rock and just like that old school kind of sound in here. I think that it warrants inclusion. But yeah, really, really good album. The vocals are fucking awesome. Great energy. It's got that steel guitar, that twangy guitar, done really, really good. And the last one I'll mention is the owner of Invictus, good friend of mine from Dublin. He also played the show I went to in London with his band, which is a very cool band. And there's death metal, of course, shocking. The band's called Verkalock, and here's the album Veneration. And this is just some fucking cool artwork right there. It's
Sick
an old
cover.
photo. Yeah. If you just like old school death metal again with maybe a little bit of a weird black metal twist to it and like kind of like a weird creepy songwriting style. Actually, if you know the band Tribulation, now they're more of like a goth rock band, but when they started, they had like a weird death black metal goth sound to them. Tribulation from Sweden. I guess this is kind of not too far off. Even the gatefold art in this is just cool as shit. Like it's this old funeral rite, a very very old photograph. Cool stuff. Great atmosphere. Love this fucking gatefold too. So yeah, I've been listening to this a lot. Great band, great album, great live band. That's my four. That's all I got.
Cool. I got one more to throw at you. I only just heard it today for the first time. First of all, the name of this band is so awesome, and the music is just as cool. The band is called, I think they're from North Dakota. Band is called Riff Lord, and the album is called
Oh.
39 Serpent Power.
Okay.
How cool looking
Why
is
does that
that?
name sound
There they
familiar?
are on the back. Look at this. Look at this photo. I don't know how well you can see it, but look at that. Look at how cool they look there.
Wicked.
If you can imagine like the Obsessed mixed with heavy Leonard Skinner, that's what this is all about. It's doomy, it's groovy, it's bluesy. It's got a bit of stoner and some psych in there too, but the riffs are absolutely massive. It's heavy and groovy, and the name of the band is called Riff Lord, and it's the best name they could have chosen for their style of music, and it's on Ripple Music. Just came out. It's fairly new. Riff Lord, 39 Serpent Power. Check it out. Review coming here on the channel sometime soon. But I only just got it. So that's all I got. That's it. So thanks for going over some 2024 releases with us, some favorites, and hopefully you found some stuff that you may want to check out. Maybe I'll ask everybody here on the panel to just go into the comments section and drop the names of the albums that you picked, so folks can do that copy and paste thing, because we know how people love lists who watch this channel, right? And right around the corner, 2025 is set to begin. We'll start listening and getting ready for next year, because that's what we do every year. The grind begins in just a couple of weeks in January.
Don't
So
Even
stop.
shit that's not
There you
even
go.
out yet.
His pick is already done. A third of
I'm
his-
already ahead of the game. I'm in the next dimension.
Yeah.
4D chess. A fucking 4D chess over here.
Yep. And make sure you tune into the Rock Fantasy Files to see Steve's real list coming in just a couple of weeks. And I will have my list right before Christmas as well. So
Cool.
tune in for that. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All the damn
All
time.
the damn time.
Can't believe my voice is held up, because I lost it
Sounded
mentally
better.
the last couple of days. And I'm going to sleep good tonight, man, because let me tell you. So thanks for watching, everybody. Happy holidays and all that good thing. And we'll see you back in January here on the Hudson Valley Squares. For Count Ralphus, Carola Preziosa, Nick Franco,
Hello.
Nick Scow,
Hello.
Thomas Fonte, and Steve Keeler. I am P. Pardo. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Good
Happy
night.
holidays.